What's up everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I've got a different perspective on my studio for you all to see. I'm trying to play around with different ways of bringing content to you all, and YouTube is a journey. You are all on it with me and you're all here as I talk about shoes. Today's shoe is my initial impressions after a first run in the Puma Nitro Velocity. Now, if you guys get anything out of the video today, remember to smash the like button and tell a few friends if you think that they'll dig the content. Hit subscribe if you want to support the channel, and head on over to Instagram. Give my page a follow. 3 kicks a day. I'm posting content over there, usually daily. I've been a huge fan of Puma's lifestyle products. Think the RSX, RSX Cube, RSX 2K, and their Future Rider series. Don't get me started on their Nintendo collaborations. Then there's been Puma hoops, and they have been on fire with the Clyde All Pros, the RS Dreamer series, and then the Kuzma Clyde All Pros. Their running segment though has always been lackluster, I guess. I've never run in a Puma shoe, and I've never run in a Puma shoe because there has never been an offering that has felt compelling enough to want to run in. But that is all about to change. In fact, it's already changed. In Australia, at least, we've got 3 of their new Nitro equipped running models. I think overseas you might have access to 1 or 2 more. What we've got here are the Deviate, which is their daily trainer / max cushion carbon plated shoe. I don't think it's your typical carbon plated racer, at least not from what I'm seeing on the internets and the YouTubes, but it's still in early days. Then we've got the Eternity, which is their stability based offering, so that would be really good if you pronate or if you need a little bit more structure to your runners. And then finally we've got this guy, the Velocity, which to me feels like the most compelling of the 3. It feels like a no-nonsense runner that really takes advantage of some of the new tech that they're putting in their running shoes. I'm super keen to get stuck into the shoe, break down each of the components, and then give you my thoughts on how it went on that first run. But before we do that, let's get to what this shoe is and what it isn't. And what it is a neutral running shoe with the Nitro midsole, which we will get to in a little bit more detail in a few seconds or minutes or whatever it might be. But that has a 33mm stack height in the heel, 23mm in the forefoot, giving us a 10mm drop. We've got an engineered mesh upper, and it does fit true to size. Comes in at 258 grams for a US men's size 9 or 9.1 ounces for those of you that use that scale. And now let's talk about what the shoe isn't. This isn't a bad shoe. This isn't a bad shoe. Hate to give a spoiler, but there really isn't any negatives so far. The only negative might be that you'd be pushing to pull this off with any casual type wear, but that's pretty weak. Now let's get stuck into the shoe, starting with the outsole. And what you can definitely see on your screen there is that there is a whole lot of coverage here. What you probably can't see though is just how thick this traction is. You've got some impressive lugs here on the forefoot. They're quite well spaced, they're quite big, and they're also quite deep. And then throughout the rest of the shoe, you've got a nice thick layer that wraps around the perimeter of the outsole, really only leaving a small bit of exposed foam right here in the center. I don't really have an issue with this. I think the only negative would be that there is some pretty easy weight loss opportunities if you take a look at this outsole. I'm not sure that we would need this level of rubber coverage, but what you do get is outstanding grip. When I took this runner out for my first run, there were a few transitions between paved surfaces and then grass, and this thing just holds onto that surface like nobody's business. The other benefit is that durability here would be killer. I mean, I think that you would have issues with other parts of this shoe before you would see any wear come through on this outsole. As I run in the shoe a little bit more, we'll see if all this extra rubber really is an issue. A good outsole, but definitely there is a lot of rubber here. Up into the midsole, and this is one of the biggest changes from previous Puma running shoes. They have gone away with, I believe it was a TPU based foam, and are now using a supercritical nitrogen infused midsole. You would be familiar with this if you've ever run in a Skechers Hyperburst runner or a Brooks DNA Flash equipped runner, like the Hyperion Tempo or Elite, or the Catamount, which is their trail offering. I personally have only run in the Skechers Go Run Ride 8, and while I had a interesting relationship with that shoe, it was more love-hate. Some runs I really loved it, and others I felt a little uninspired, I guess. I did walk away from my time in that shoe, which was a little over 100 Ks, wanting to experience more of what this nitrogen infused foam could actually deliver. And this offers a very similar ride. The way that I would characterize this nitrogen infused midsole is that it is bouncy. It is just the right softness, and it is just the right amount of bouncy. As soon as you get up on your toes, you feel like this thing comes alive. I really enjoyed that about this shoe. The midsole definitely was super responsive as you started to pick up the pace, but was just as happy being at some of those more moderate paces. As you start to get higher on a stack height, you can tend to feel a little unstable. But what Puma have tried to do here is they've included a heel clip at the back to try and give a little bit of extra stability to the foam, which does seem to work really well. Into the upper, we've got this engineered mesh that feels like an old school type of mesh upper. It is definitely well constructed, but it also feels thick. I didn't have an issue with circulation on my run in the morning, but admittedly it was about 11 degrees Celsius. So that isn't necessarily going to give the best indication of whether this thing has the circulation that you would need for those longer, warmer runs or not. But we'll certainly find out as the weather warms up over the next week here. Even though this sits at the bottom of the Trio's range, you still get a nice amount of padding around the heel collar here, and you can see at the back of the heel there is a fair bit of structure, so it keeps your foot nicely locked in. The tongue is really comfortable, it is lightly padded, and it is also gusseted. What was interesting was that when I put it on for the first time, I felt that this tongue area was almost a little bit too tight. But as soon as I started running, that gave me no issues, and without a word of a lie, was super duper comfortable. There you have it. That's my initial impressions on the Puma Nitro Velocity. Super thrilled with my purchase. I am glad that I chose to start off with this particular model. This morning's run felt brilliant. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it fares over the coming weeks, and I will be back to give my final thoughts on this once I've got a little bit more Ks into it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have picked any of the Puma shoes up, if you picked up more and you favor one over the other, let us know why. But until the next video, laters.